Hey, what's up, guys? A very interesting court hearing today. First thing we've learned is there was a bloody print on the railing inside the house. Now, is it a bloody handprint, or is it a bloody glove print? And we heard again about the glove being found outside, and the glove had blood in it. Now, is this the perpetrator's blood, or is it the blood of one of the victims? That's the question we got to ask ourselves. Was this the blood of the perpetrator that was on the railing inside? Possibly. It could also be the blood of one of the victims, just like the glove outside had blood in it. That could have been the blood of the victims or the blood of the perpetrator. And it was very interesting to hear that three different facilities, the Idaho State Crime Lab, Courtroom, and the FBI, all three had their grubby little mitts in that IGG information. So let's see. Idaho State Crime Lab uploaded it to CODIS. Couldn't find anything. Okay. They give it to Courtroom. Courtroom uploaded it and genetically engineered it. Couldn't find anything. Sending the FBI was like, okay, let us try. Let us see what we can do. They didn't find anything. Okay. It sounds like to me, in my opinion, there was too many hands in the cookie jar of the IGG. That's what it sounds like to me. If one can't get it, that's strike one. If the second can't get it, that's strike two. If the third can't get it, that's strike three. Strike three and you're out. It was very interesting to me. And this hearing did run long. It ran 8 hours. But also, especially, what was interesting to me is what Ann Taylor stated, that a confidential informant gave her a picture. And this confidential informant doesn't have the best of reputations. Okay, so who is it? Is it a former FBI agent? Is it somebody that used to work for the Moscow Police Department? Is it somebody there in the community of Moscow or Pullman? When she said they didn't have the best of reputations, it made me think somebody involved in the rug world, maybe. And I think them handing her a picture would be exculpatory evidence. It would. And I mean, Alyssa Jennings, she was no better. She talked circles around herself. Now, Nye, he did a lot better up there uh, talking than Jennings did. So, why didn't he go back up there? And you had Bill Thompson, as soon as Alyssa Jennings started talking, Bill Thompson, his face turned purple and he started sweating. But I think the most interesting thing, in my opinion, was when they talked about DM and how she doesn't recall anything from that night because she was drunk. So, it makes me wonder if she actually saw what she saw, or if it wasn't her seeing something in a drunken stupor. Like, she couldn't even pick Brian out in a lineup. So, if she couldn't pick Brian out, that tanks her credibility for the 5'10" or taller, bushy eyebrows, uh, athletically built but not muscular. That's a generic description of anybody and everybody there in Moscow. So, exactly what did she really see? Or who did she really see? Because if she couldn't pick Brian out in a lineup, that makes you wonder if he's actually truly being framed. Because why? Is the IGG hearings always closed? And yesterday, you had Judge Hippler getting on to Ann Taylor because he thinks she's trying to try this in the public. Well, where was he when the prosecution was doing the exact same thing for 2 years? The prosecution tried it in the court of public opinion on Nancy Grace, on Ashley Banfield when he did an interview with Brian Inton from News Nation, when Kathy Mabbitt was interviewed. How is that not trying this case in the public? It is, if you're the prosecution. But if you're the defense, it feels like Judge Hippler is trying to tie the defense's hands, because he deliberately attacked Ann Taylor this morning and knocked her off of her game. And he did. Now, after Jennings, he did the same thing to Jennings about mentioning something that wasn't in the actual evidence and trying to admit it after the fact. As soon as Jennings was done talking, Ann came back up, and Ann looked a whole lot better that second time around. That first time around, Judge Hippler made her look weak. He did. He made her look weak because he knocked her off of her game, which caused her to lose focus on what she was doing. And that's just not right. It's not, guys. Tomorrow is round two. And let's see if it's fully open or open but not open. Because that closed hearing today took almost 4 hours before they opened the last 4 hours up. And yes, I noticed it too, guys. Brian doesn't look good. He looked way better when he was in Latah County. He looked healthier when he was in Latah. He looked, bigger. When I saw him today, I had Richard Allen flashbacks. Because when Richard Allen was arrested, he was healthy, he was chunky, he was big. And by the time he went to trial, he was almost skin and bones. And yes, I know that the jail food sucks and you can get depressed, and if you don't drink enough water, it will affect your health. Is that the case in this case, or is somebody messing with his food? Maybe taking his commissary, if he's getting commissary. Maybe putting stuff in his food. Because I believe Brian is locked down 23 hours a day, and he's Boise. Apparently, from what I heard, the Boise jail is really big, and you can move somebody around and not see them. But I mean, be praying for Brian, guys, because he didn't look good today. He didn't. And as as much as I hate to admit it, Ann Taylor didn't look good today either. As far as her game goes, in that first half, she was letting Brian down. Now, yes, in the second part after Jennings was done talking, she looked stronger. But I believe the only reason why she looked weak in that first part is because Judge Hippler was knocking her off her game, and he flat out said today that he thinks Brian did it because he didn't say it that way, but he said, well, his DNA was on the knife sheath. Just because someone's DNA is on a knife sheath, especially a button snap, that touch DNA could have got there in any given way. But what was very interesting was when they said they found a bloody handprint on the railing. And it just made me think, like I stated earlier in the video, could it have been the victim's blood? Or could it have been the killer's blood? Just like the glove outside. But it also makes me wonder, why they felt like they had to do the IgG 3 separate times in 3 separate places. And yes, she talked about the trash. They took Brian's dad's trash without a warrant. So it was an illegal search and seizure. This is the way she put it. And then that's when Judge Hitler said, are you going to talk to me about trash? This judge today felt like he didn't want to hear anything Anne said. It also felt like he wasn't just combative with her. He was combative with Alyssa Jennings too, which you know I mean I hate to say it, she's out of her league in Boise. So I'm kind of wondering if possibly they're regretting this change of venue because it's clear that Judge Hitler wants no part of this case because of what he said when in their first meeting. Well, I would say it's nice to meet. I'd say it's nice to meet you, but I wouldn't want to tell. I wouldn't want to tell a half truth, or I wouldn't want to tell a lie. And I'm pretty sure, Ann's regretting getting this judge, because Judge Hitler, unlike Judge John Judge, Judge Hitler is strictly by the books, by the law, and you better hold on in his court, especially when Ann Taylor was talking about the Supreme Court, and he popped off to her. He said, "Well, I got to listen to the Supreme Court," and of course her rebuttal was, "Well, yeah, well, I don't have to." So there was a lot of contention. There was some contention yesterday between Hitler and the defense, especially when he said that he feels like they're trying to try this uh, case in the public. If I was Ann Taylor, guys, I would be thinking, and I would have told him, well, then why didn't you stop the prosecution early on in the case? Because it honestly truly felt like the prosecution was trying this case in the court of public opinion, because look what happened. The jury pool got tainted, and how did it get tainted? The G's. The, the G's uh, contaminated the jury pool by doing their own jury survey. Oh, and speaking of the G's, I checked their GoFundMe last night. It's already at $70,000, and it's like 5,000 to their goal. Plus, they now have something on their page where you can call and donate. But that's really none of my business. It just it just feels like they're trying to cash in on their daughter's death, because now instead of 10 people going, as I first reported several months back, there's more going now, more than 10. So, but getting back to today's hearing, in the first part, my first instance was I was furious that Aunt Taylor wasn't stepping up her game. Like, now, mind you, this is the first, the first before she came back and really hammered it home. I felt like she wasn't stepping her game up, but at the same time, guys, it really wasn't her fault. You had Judge Hitler, you know, questioning her, in which kind of knocked her psyche off. It knocked, because she was in the middle of speaking and telling her side of the story, and on why this should be suppressed, and you had Hitler kind of attacking her a little bit, which knocked her off of her train of thought. which is totally understandable if if you were like asked a very tough question, especially if it was about probable cause. And now on the second half, she did talk about chain of custody, you know, or the lack of chain of custody. But I was kind of disappointed that she didn't open with that in that first half. She didn't ask about chain of custody, or she didn't attack it. But then after Alyssa Jennings had spoke, she actually did attack the chain of custody or lack thereof, because you had three different entities working with the same IGG, which I'm still asking myself after this hearing, why you know why after the Idaho State Crime Lab they couldn't find a matching CODIS. Okay, then they pass it off to Othram, and Othram does some type of genetic manipulation to it to make it more viable. Othram couldn't find anything in CODIS. Okay, that's, like I said before, that's a strike two. So then the FBI steps in and takes their whack at the zip. If you see two other uh, uh, facilities go at it and couldn't find it, why are you, the FBI? Why are you going to decide just to step in? Oh yeah, well these two failed. Oh well, we'll try. Don't make no sense. Just like this case. This case makes no sense. And I noticed, I guess Brett Payne had testified during the closed hearing. Well, why didn't you let us see it? Why didn't you let us see him stumble over his words again like he did last time? And Ann Taylor did bring up a good point. There is 7 minutes of not seeing Brian's car anywhere. And you even heard the judge state that his car wasn't anywhere near the crime scene. The judge stated that, which shocked the heck out of me. The judge stated that his car wasn't anywhere near the crime scene according to the cast report. And that's even more interesting. They talked about the cast. Vaguely they did. You had Ann Taylor talk about it. The cell tower data, AT&T 1 and 2. Clearly the judge looked at the cast report for the cell tower data from AT&T 1 and 2 for him to say to Alyssa Jennings that the car was not anywhere near the house. But I'm gonna be breaking this down some more. I downloaded this damn hearing, so I'm gonna be breaking it down and getting more information out here to you guys. Now, I hope you guys have a good Thursday night, Friday morning. This is True Crime Unraveled. And guys, I'm out, and you guys have a good Friday. Peace.